Hi friend, welcome to Landscape Elevation. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm Charlene Gray, and today I'm talking about what it takes to be a landscape designer. I'm going to share with you the 5 things that I consider to be absolutely necessary to be a successful landscape designer today, and I feel these to be true whether you're first starting out or whether you're a seasoned designer, maybe looking to improve. So I'll jump right in. The first thing I consider necessary in order to be a successful landscape designer is you have got to know some plants. Do you have to know all of the plants? Definitely not, thank goodness. But do you need to know some? Yes. Yes, you do. So which ones do you start with? I'd say start knowing about the plants that are common in your area and the ones that you like the looks of. So plants that are more common in your local marketplace are typically easy to please in terms of growing conditions, so they're easier for just anyone to grow. When you start coming across very specific growing conditions that not as many plants will thrive in, such as dry shade, hot sun, dry, or wet conditions, this gives you the open door to go expanding your plant knowledge. But for now, you can, just starting, you can stick with the plants that you see all the time and that you like. So how much should you know about the plants that you know about? I would say you should know their Latin name and their common name. You may prefer a few specific cultivars once you learn about them, and you should know how those cultivars differ from the straight species. So like their flower color, foliage color, height, etc. But you don't need to memorize all of the available cultivars, just the ones that you like the best. You should also know what type of growing conditions they prefer, specifically their sun and water preferences. So full sun versus shade, and whether they like dry, moist, or wet soils. Not mandatory, but also helpful if you know ahead of time where the plants you know about can be purchased. So if you know where you're shopping, or know what the local places where you shop have to offer. So in addition to plants, you need to know some math. Yes, I said math. I know math scares some people, maybe you, but please don't let this turn you away from the profession of landscape design. Math for landscape designers is totally doable, even if you need to hire a math tutor for a few sessions. At the very basic level, you're looking at addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. If you're working at a more advanced level as a designer, you'd be looking at some geometry, algebra, and trig, but using very specific formulas that are specific to landscape design. So as long as you can memorize and apply that formula, you're going to be all set. So know your plants, know some math. Third, you need to be an effective communicator. Knowing how and when to talk to people is crucial in your role as a landscape designer. By people, I mean everyone from your clients to industry folks, architects, building contractors. Your presence and eye contact, your ability to be prepared, to listen, to be clear, concise, and consistent in your communication all have an effect on how well you communicate with people. And this goes for verbal in-person and telephone conversations, as well as in any written conversations, communication through emails and texts. Out of emails and texts, I find text messages to be sometimes the hardest communication tool. They're intended to be quick and easy, but so much can get missed or misinterpreted, especially when it comes to tone. You probably know this. Anyway, bottom line, practicing these communication skills, being prepared, being present, making eye contact, listening, and being clear, concise, and consistent will help you become a better designer. And bonus, a better communicator in your everyday life in general. So fourth, you need to be able to see opportunities. Specifically for landscape design, I'm referring to seeing the possibilities and the opportunities of a site. But on a broader scale, and as a side note, it's helpful for any self-employed professional to be able to also see opportunities that allow you to expand your professional reach and your impact. But as for being in tune with seeing site opportunities, This may be something you are naturally good at, which is awesome. Or it may be something you have to put a little bit of effort into to develop your eye. Either way, from wherever you're starting, successful landscape designers will continuously build this muscle. It becomes a thing you just do. It's one thing to look at a completely landscaped site and say, wow, this is a great site, a great design. It's exactly what I would have done. And it's a completely different thing to be handed a blank slate of a site where your job is to put together a design that looks like it belongs there. And then to have other people say, oh wow, this is a great site, this is a great design. It's exactly what I would have done. Chances are it is definitely not exactly what they would have done given the same blank slate. Not because they don't have the skills, maybe, but mostly because each and every designer sees things differently. The only wrong way to design something is to design it in such a way that it fails. So take your visions and run with them. Doing so will help you develop your eye for seeing opportunities, even if it's a process of trial and error. Another way to develop your eye is to take on the role of a detective when you visit any landscape sites. So you're looking for failures. Once you find a failure, you detect some erosion runoff, maybe a dead plant or a failing hardscape. Look for clues as to why that failure happened and imagine how those failures could be fixed. So doing these little mini trials in your head, in your vision, will help hone your opportunity eye. And bonus, they help you spot future failures in your own designs while they're still on the drawing table. So number 5, what it takes to be a landscape designer, last one, you need to make a plan for your systems. By systems, I basically mean figuring out and knowing how you do the things that happen in your office. So for example, you'll need to figure out how your business operates financially, from business bank accounts to invoicing software to cataloging expenses. You may find you need an accountant. Maybe you also want to hire a bookkeeper, but those things could come in time. But basically, all the things that have to do with managing the money that comes in and goes out of your business. Having a plan for those systems is crucial. So you'll also want to figure out your general order of operations and design sequence when you land a new client. What is the design process you'll follow to keep you on track as you develop a custom landscape for someone? For pointers and help mapping out your own design process, you can download my free guide. It's called The 5 Steps to Prepare for a Successful Landscape Design. There should be a link below. And finally, you'll want to have a general outline for what happens once your design is finished and the next step is installation of your design. So once the design is finished, do you hand it off and walk away? Or are you hired by the clients to oversee the landscape contractor that's been hired for the installation? Or are you the overseer of the installation while also sourcing and procuring plant materials? So the answers to these questions can vary job to job, but it's a good idea to think about them ahead of time so that early on you can position yourself where you want to be later. So there you have it. My take on what it takes to be a landscape designer. The 5 things I've just shared with you are: you need to know some plants, you need to know some math, you need to be a good communicator, you need to be able to see opportunities, particularly on the site, and you need to have a plan for the systems that will happen in your business. And keep in mind that there is nuance within each of these 5 areas. So basically, as long as you have a desire to improve and refine your abilities in each area as you gain experience and as you learn and as you grow, you can reach your own level of mastery in each of these 5 areas on your own, and to the degree in which you want your work and your business to grow. So I hope this has been helpful for you. And if you're just getting started with designing landscapes, I hope this has shown you that becoming a landscape designer isn't rocket science. It does take some planning and commitment, but it is all totally doable and scalable from any starting point if that's what you want for yourself. So, thank you for watching Landscape Elevation, and please do feel free to download my guide that I mentioned earlier. The link is below. It's completely free, and you can use it as it is to help you navigate your design process or modify it to fit your specific system. So I really enjoy hearing from folks in the landscape design industry. If you're a landscape designer and you have questions or a conversation to start, please share it in the comments. Okay, thank you again, and I'll see you next time.